Hello and welcome back to Screen Films, where we usually analyze movies and genres and discuss them. Today, I'm going to be doing a quick review on Alien Romulus. Now, I'm not going to be doing a whole deep dive of this movie just yet. I'm going to wait for it to come either out on digital or Blu-ray or whatever until I can actually watch it again and jot down more notes that I think of. These are just kind of my notes that I kind of was thinking about while I was watching the movie originally. So this movie did just come out on August 16th. As I am recording, it is the 22nd. So it's been like a week or so since it's been out. I've been kind of waiting a little bit to see what IMDb and everyone else says about this movie. I wanted to give myself some time to think about this movie and also let critics also have their time to think and put out their stuff out before I put mine out. I'm not using any of their stuff. This is just all my opinion. I will point out real quick that I did see this in IMAX, so my experience is going to be different than probably yours if you ever decide to see this movie. So just keep that in mind, that a lot of things that I experienced were more louder and everything because I was in IMAX. So as of now on IMDb, it has a 7.4 stars out of 10. It has an 81% Fresh Tomatoes score and an 86% audience score. So within this first week, a lot of people have been enjoying this. I mean, if you couldn't tell. I'm pretty sure it already has just passed Deadpool and Wolverine as the highest grossed rated R film. That I'm not sure yet. So if anything new really comes out of if Deadpool, Wolverine, or Alien Romulus is the highest grossing rated R film, I'll put it up like around here or something just to get my information correct as of now. Now to quickly get the easiest thing out of it, if you didn't want spoilers, I thought it was pretty good. I would definitely recommend watching it. Very fun, thrilling, exciting, definitely scary at times. Kind of felt needed, especially for the series. If you don't want to get anything spoiled for you and you just want to see that, watch it. If you still want to get spoiled by it, so be it. There are going to be spoilers in this video, so if you definitely don't want to get spoiled, click out the video and watch the movie for yourself. So to get things started, we'll just talk about who directed it and everything. This movie was directed by Fede Alvarez. For those that know him, he did Don't Breathe 1 and 2. He also has done the 2013 Evil Dead movie. So he has a lot of thriller horror vibe movies on his list of things that he's done. So he definitely has an expertise in this sort of situation with this movie. Especially when I first heard that Fede Alvarez was directing it, I instantly got really hyped for this movie. Mostly because I trust him in his creativeness to make something kind of spooky. So Ridley Scott did produce this movie. So if you don't really understand who Ridley Scott is, he directed the very first Alien movie, he directed Prometheus, and he also directed Alien Covenant. He's done a lot of other movies. The first one that comes to mind is Gladiator. I can also list a few here in this area of other movies he has done. He has a really big background in this industry. This movie, it feels like an Alien movie. It feels perfect in this series. It definitely feels the same. I'm gonna get to that in a second. It also does feel like Alien Isolation. It definitely feels like an isolating film, mostly because we follow 3 or 4 or so characters around the space station as the movie goes throughout. I will admit, it does have a requel vibe to it. I think that's kind of the point in a way. For those that don't understand what a requel is, it's basically a remake sequel vibe where it's considered a sequel in the series, but they're remaking it with new characters and everything. If you need a new requel idea, that would definitely be Scream 5 and 6. Those are requels where you have the original cast from the first movies and then it adds more characters to the series so the story can go on through them instead of the original characters. It does copy the same formulas as for sure Alien and Aliens. This is going to be a upcoming thing, just letting you know. There's a self-destruct sequence going on in the movie. The escape pod slash ship at the end isn't actually safe. You know, there's always that one final scare with the xenomorph or thing. So there's always that tension at the end where the characters aren't safe until they deal with the solution overall. It does it in a way that you kind of have to think about it while you're watching it, that it feels the same. But as well, if you're a big Alien fan, you'll just find it very well suited for the series and you'll just not really complain about it. At least that's what I think. It does very well with connecting dots from the previous movies and setting itself in a good spot in the timeline. For those that don't really know where this fits in the timeline, this is between Alien and Aliens. It takes place roughly 25 or so years after Alien, so it's like in the middle mark between Alien and Aliens. It does bring up a lot of stuff from Prometheus and Alien Covenant in this, of where you have the goop and everything. They show the pod from Prometheus and how that kind of all forms. It's not really in your face, but they really kind of push towards making sure that you know that this takes place after Alien. They have a scene at the beginning where they are basically bringing back the xenomorph from the first movie and then bringing it into Romulus, which is the space station. And then they really make sure that you know that it's the original by by having it dead and you seeing it basically for your eyes that that's the original xenomorph from the first movie. So it is kind of in your face about that kind of stuff, but it doesn't really force it to you. You kind of just realize that it's connecting the dots, and it just kind of works, since it's very hard to make a movie between movies without trying to force stuff in from the original movie. It does very well with making sure that it's not forcing everything too much, but it's also making sure that people are reminded, hey, this is a middle mark between the first two movies. It has a lot of the original sounds from the first two Alien movies. Mother is brought up, you hear the computers going from the first movie. You have the pulse rifle from Aliens, which I generally thought they weren't going to shoot the pulse rifle for a little bit, and I was starting to get mad about it, but then they finally shot it. Such a good sound. It is like one of the best sounds in the Alien series is the pulse rifle. Just how it sounds is just super crisp. They have the vent gate from Alien and Alien Isolation. They have that same exact sound as it opens. It just sounds like metal opening, and it just sounds so nice. I was in the very back of my IMAX theater when I saw it, because that's like the best spot to be, because you get the sound like super close to you. And first hearing that sound, I basically was having a little bit too much of a reaction to it. Let's just put it that way. It definitely made me realize that this is going to be a good movie. Either almost or all of the xenomorphs and facehuggers are practical, which is very good to see. Obviously, there's going to be some scenes with like them jumping around, like the facehuggers. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of them that are CGI, mostly because you have the facehuggers jumping around and everything. You can't really do that with an animatronic, really. But pretty much almost everything is practical in this movie. There hasn't been a lot of practical things recently in the Alien series. I definitely think that maybe the last few things that were practical was Alien Resurrection. Definitely with Prometheus and Alien Covenant, the series started going to a whole CGI style of making the xenomorphs and deacons and whatnot all CGI, which can be a little bit of a letdown, but definitely with this movie, the practical effects make everything 10 times better. Overall, with the CGI, while bringing it up, the CGI is really good when, like, you know, people are dying and they have a different way of killing people. And then in the trailers, obviously, this isn't really spoiler, with the X-ray scanner, I guess that's what it is. Those shots look really cool, seeing the inside of the forearm and then the chest. I think those shots were really cool and well done in the movie. Now, there is, this is basically a major spoiler, there is a deepfake / CGI face of Ian Holm in the movie. He plays a android named Rook. Obviously, if you didn't know, Ian Holm passed away in 2020, so a lot of people are getting a little controversial about them using him in his face and everything without proper authorization, but it has come out that his family did authorize his face and voice to be in the movie, so they were okay with it. If you're wondering about that, they okayed it before they did anything about the character. Obviously, if you haven't seen the first Alien, Ian Holm's character in that, Ash, is evil, so there is that kind of, there's gonna be a realization that Rook is gonna be a villain because of Ash. Overall, the deepfake / CGI face is okay. It is definitely at sometimes really, really good. Like, it looks perfect. And then in some lighting and whenever he speaks, it looks a little weird. That's definitely just mostly because of the CGI that we have. But a lot of it's still janky. But it's not as janky as in Tron Legacy, so we have that. Whenever they are in space, those shots are like some of the most beautiful shots in the film. Obviously, those are all CG. It definitely has that interesting space look to it, and it kind of reminds me of Interstellar a little bit. Probably not super scientific and realistic as Interstellar. It has that same feeling of Interstellar where the space stuff just feels right, and it looks really cool. So the cast in this movie is really good. Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson do really good in their roles. They definitely are the main characters of this movie. They do really good portraying Rain and Andy, definitely in their own roles as kind of caring for each other. And then whenever Andy becomes evil, it's good that David Johnson could snap into that style of evil android in the Alien series, which is really cool. But Rain is a really good female character in this movie. Basically, the Alien series is known for having badass women in it, so it is good to hear that they were able to write Rain as a loving and badass character. Although there are some problems with the script. Sometimes it feels a little bit forced, sometimes not. There are a lot of lines from Alien and Aliens, as in a lot. They did the infamous "get away from her, you bitch" line from Aliens. Although a lot of people, including myself, was kind of pumped when it happened. We were kind of hoping maybe it would happen. Not entirely one-to-one with the Aliens version, but right when Andy started saying it, everyone in the theater basically just got excited for it. So it definitely works in this movie. A lot of the lines do, but just to let you know, there are a lot of lines from the first two movies. Overall, the script is okay, but definitely some parts with kind of getting the lines from the other movies is pretty well done and smart. A good chunk of the movie is really quiet, you know, to get that isolation feel, but definitely was very awkward to hear nothing really happened. But again, in space, no one can hear you scream. So there are a good amount of jump scares. So if you are a person who doesn't really like jump scares, be prepared. There are a lot. They're well done though, so it's nothing kind of cheap. You're kind of expecting some of it, and then it happens and it'll actually scare you. Like, definitely at the end, I was watching it with my cousin. We were like at the end of the movie, and my cousin definitely was like, oh, yep, it's still in there. And then like 2 seconds later, it showed up, and it scared both of us, I think. We were definitely expecting it, but then it was definitely portrayed well. So jump scares, very solid. They don't feel cheap. They kind of feel really thrilling and exciting to see. That's basically all I have. Overall, this movie is definitely the third best in the series behind Alien and Aliens, respectfully. It definitely holds up. Alien 3 and Alien 4 were a mixed batch. Prometheus was good as its own standalone, but definitely felt kind of forced for the series. And then Alien Covenant was just kind of it was a movie. I thought it was good when I first saw it, but definitely, you know, after rewatching it and everything, it's kind of mid. But overall, Alien Romulus does a really good job portraying the Alien movies as its own creative way. It definitely feels good to have a movie recently to make you want to feel like watching it again, which is what this does. I had the same feeling with Deadpool and Wolverine, where I wanted to watch it again, and I did. I definitely want to watch this movie again in theaters, mostly for that vibe again, and you don't really get that anymore in movies these days. So they did a really good job making sure that you wanted to watch this movie again if you were a really big fan of the series. It is also definitely a good sign that the movie did its job in entertaining people, which is always good. So that's basically all I have for this. I would still recommend watching this movie. I did not spoil any of the main plot, so you are safe to see this for yourself. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being patient on my upload schedule for a little bit when I was doing my Crow video. Realistically, I should have waited the next day to upload it, but I definitely was trying to get it out eventually within the day of July. So I technically still did that, just in a different time zone. So definitely make sure you watch that video. I definitely really enjoyed making that one. Definitely learned a lot from that one. I think as of now, it's not my lowest viewed video. That's definitely some of my earlier videos on this channel, but definitely if you haven't watched it, definitely watch that. I put a lot of determination in that video. If not, that's totally okay. Send this video to people who are maybe interested in seeing Romulus but don't know entirely just yet. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.